Welcome back to Irish Footy Vlogs. Welcome back to another Premier Division prediction show. It's that time again, JP. Looking forward to the games on Friday.
Yeah, I can't wait to get back.
Yeah, exactly. I think a lot of people miss it. Even with the Euros and that, I think people just miss live football, don't they? It's not the same. No, it's definitely not the same. We'll start off with the Brandywell. We're going to tie in as well, actually, for the viewers, some of the signings that clubs have made. I think most viewers will probably know their own clubs. We may not know because some viewers actually don't really use social media, as such. Some of them, so they may not know some of the players that were signed by other clubs, etc., etc. So we'll get into that as we get into the predictions as well. So first up, we've got Derry City and Drogheda United at the Brandywell. And before the break, Derry were flying. Before the break, Drogheda were not flying. So the break, you feel, would have done Drogheda good. They've brought in that guy on loan from Walsall. They've added to the ranks striker Taylor, James Taylor, not the singer, by the way. I can't. He enters my head every time I say his name, though. But yeah, I mean, they'll be hoping for a boost there. Derry City have added a midfielder who was available from, I think he'd left.
Marco?
Was he released from Morecambe, actually?
Yeah.
Or, yeah, he had been
Marco.
released. Davenport, he's come in. He's a midfield player. So he adds strength to their ranks as well. Look, we don't know an awful lot about these players, as in we don't know how well they'll do in the league, even if you do research and that. But this guy, Davenport, did play a lot of games for Macclesfield, in fairness, and other clubs, etc. over in England. I think
Played a
Blackburn
lot
as
of games.
well.
Played regularly for Blackburn in the
Did play
championship.
regularly for Blackburn a couple of years ago, which, on the face of it, it looks a good sign, doesn't it? But only time will tell. But obviously, hoping to give Derry City a boost as well there. And his contract is up. That means it'll be 1st of July. But if players, say, have been released, obviously then they could play. But his contract is up 1st of July. So I don't think most of
I
these
think,
signings
I
won't be
think that
available actually until the
I'm
1st
not
of
sure how
July.
I'm not sure how the Jake Carroll one was, but I know that if he were it used to be that if you were released within the window,
Yeah.
if the window shut, then you were free to find another club. But if you were released after the window, you had to wait until the next transfer window. But I wasn't sure how the Jake Carroll one was. Was he released before? I
Yeah,
don't. It was.
he was released. So
Mm,
that's essentially the rule. He's coming on a free from Morecambe because his contract is up. It's on up on July 1st, essentially, isn't
yeah.
it? But
Yeah.
if a player's been released, they can play. But most of the players here haven't been released, as far as
Mm,
I can see, to
well,
be honest with
so he's not available until Sligo. He was on field today. He told us that he played in the same midfield as Diallo and Patchen at Manchester City Youth, and it's good it's like, that's how we got Diallo, was through the link with Patchen, and I don't think both of them have turned out too bad, to be honest with you. I
you.
think they've been really good signings for Derry, like um. But going back to the game, I think um I think it's a case of one team wanted the break and another team didn't want the break, and Derry for the first time in over 12 months have managed to string 3 wins together. They built a bit of momentum going into the break, and look, they've 2 games now before they go they tackle Europe, and they'll want to build another bit of momentum going into that. And they'll see this as a huge opportunity. They won the first game, I think, 2-1 at the Brandywell, on the opening night of the season. Came close to winning by the same scoreline in Drogheda. A late equaliser from Drogheda, but who put in a really good second half. Derry put in a really good first half and hit the post in the second half, which could have killed the game off. As we see, I think Drogheda have only one win in their last 9 or something, is it? And that came in the derby against Dundalk on Bank Holiday Monday at the beginning of May. So it's a long time without a victory. It's seen them go from having a gap over Dundalk to being 3 points behind. So yeah, they'll be a team that'll want signings in the door and ready to hit the ground running. And I don't know how they're fixed for their signings. But I know Davenport's not available until Thursday against Sligo. I'm not sure about the Drogheda signings.
The fact that
But
he's
look,
on loan, perhaps, I know he's been in training with the first team. I have a funny feeling he might be available, but Drogheda fans might be able to tell me for sure because I'm not 100% sure. But I feel he
yeah.
may be available. The other point with Drogheda now is obviously Evan Weir's left the club, who's a big loss as well. We knew it was coming, but he's
Mm.
left the club. And Hayden Khan is sent back to his club, Lincoln. So he's gone as well. So defensively, it'd be interesting to see how they shape up in
Yeah,
this game.
that's especially the Evan Weir. That's a
Oh, absolutely.
He's a huge loss. He got injured,
Mm.
I think, against Derry down in
Mm.
Drogheda, and it prompted Drogheda and they changing their shape that night, and it took them a wee while to get used to it. And I think that's when Derry punched. When Drogheda were struggling to get used to the change that night, and Derry just couldn't kill the game off. And we know that he's come up with some vital goals since he's been at Drogheda, and it'd be a huge miss. And look, he'll probably be looking. I don't. Is it Walsall he was with or Lincoln?
Walsall, yeah, Walsall.
Walsall. So
Yeah.
so Walsall will be. Will they put him under their team? I don't know. Possibly does Evan maybe want to try his hand in the Football League. Maybe at another club will remain to be seen. And look, there's no reason why he can't. He's a very good player. Um, I think Derry had a good run out on Saturday against Crusaders, and Stephen Baxter's testimonial 1-2-0. Um, a couple of trialists were in that game. One of them scored, so it'll be interesting to see if anything comes off the back of that. Um, but I think Derry will win this. Drogheda will make it difficult, as they always do. But I think Derry will come out as, I say, 2-0 winners.
Mm. That performance, though, in the second half was probably one of Droghed's best performances of the season down in United Park or Weavers Park against Derry City, actually, in the second half, anyway. Um, yeah, I find it difficult not to see Derry win. I know momentum and stuff, but that friendly as well would have helped them a little bit getting a bit of game time in there, you know. But I think Drogheda are really struggling. I know the players hoping to be back from injury, so we'll have to see what happens there. And their cards are close to their chest in that regard, I think. Derry City will see, without getting too detailed, but they will see the next two games a great opportunity, even though one of them is against kind of a bit of a bogey team, but they're a struggling team in Sligo. So they've got Drogheda and Sligo, and they will be looking at that saying, I'm sure in house they'll be saying, look, 6 points is a serious target here. It'd be major disappointment if they didn't beat Drogheda. It'd be a major boost because Drogheda, remember, are bottom of the league as we speak as well. If they were to go up to Derry and get something out of the game, I did. What score did you say? Don't tell me actually, because yeah, I don't want to skew me. I think this might be a big win for Derry. Um, I'm gonna go 3-0 Derry City. What did you say?
I went to.
You went two. I just have a feeling. Sorry, Drogheda fans. I'm probably wrong though, so don't worry. Dundalk and Waterford at Oriel Park. Of course, Dundalk are ninth in the league, 3 points above Drogheda. Waterford are fourth in the league table, and Dundalk brought in another Scott McGill, and he's Scottish. Seven Scott. There's seven Scots at the club now at Dundalk FC. So Flair of Scotland will have to be learned by the Shedside Army. No doubt it already has been rehearsed during the break, JP. But yeah, look, it's a big game. They've kept
If
eight.
they have opportunities to rehearse it anyways with their heads.
Peter Cherry can lead the charge there as well. They've 8 clean sheets in a row, which is remarkable. Laurel Park, they've been looking for 9, and that's the bedrock of them kind of getting out of this. From the bottom, they were at the bottom, but second bottom now, as I said. Waterford probably wouldn't have wanted to break either. They've been flying. Hammond has been flying. He's been scoring goals. Got 11 goals this season. Um, yeah, it's a difficult one because Zach Bradshaw has left the club. Zach Johnson has left as well. He's gone back to Sunderland. And I actually think he's a loss. I've been quite impressed with young Zach Johnson, to be honest. I think
Likewise.
yeah, hasn't he? He's really helped Boyle as well. He's the legs and the youth beside Boyle. And I, there's clubs looking at defenders, and I don't know if Dundalk could get him back, but any League of Ireland team kind of be looking at him, wondering can I get him on loan till the end of the season? He's a good player. 9 clean sheets in a row. Just unbelievable. I think it's pushing it against a Waterford side, well capable of scoring goals. Obviously, Ammond. You've got Asamoah. I wonder will be back. He was out for a few weeks before the break. He might be back. Who knows? Connor Parsons, is well capable of creating chances there as well. Barry Bagley is another player that they've been missing. That they hope will be returning soon as well. 2-1 Waterford. I think they're going to go to Oriel and win this game. 2-1.
Yeah, I don't even think Stephen Kenny's all conquering. Dundalk team managed to go games without conceding at Oriel Park. They might have went 8 ones in
You know, it
a
would be
row.
a great question, JP. How many managers have they had in that run?
Yeah, three, I think. Three, four,
Noel
five.
King, Daly for sure.
Yeah,
O'Donnell may have started the
McDonald.
run.
Yeah, he
I'm
did.
not sure.
Then
And
you
Gartland and
Burns.
name's gone in my head. Burns. Yeah, I think they've
Burns.
had four. Correct if it's
Four,
wrong.
yeah. So that
Comments.
makes it even more impressive. Like probably four different styles of management, you
It
know.
means one
So
manager can't take the credit for it though.
no, I know, I know. Um, Look, it's Dundalk went into the break with on a bit of a high with that win over Sligo, was it? Um, and it was probably a result that you probably felt was coming for Dundalk, especially since John Daly came in. Waterford have went on a really good one, but they lost two out of three going into the break. But, it was Derry and Shelburne in between a win over Sligo. Um, as you say there, they've lost Johnson. A couple of hours have gone in the window. They brought in a couple. Waterford are a more settled team. I think Dundalk have been really well organised under John Daly, similar to what Pats were this time last year. Um, in similar circumstances, taking over from a manager that had left the club. Um, I don't think Waterford will win this, but I think they'll get something out of it, and I'm going to go 1-1.
1-1. Yeah, interesting stuff. Shelburne take on Galway United at Talca Park, and I suppose Shelburne wouldn't have really wanted to break either. Obviously, 2 points clear. They're the league leaders, ahead of Derry City, and they've done some business. We'll get to that in a second. Galway United in fifth place, just behind Waterford in the league, and Galway did beat Shelburne this season. Shelburne's lost 3 games. One of them was against Galway United, so and they had a tight win at Talca against them as well. So you know, there'll be no underestimating Galway, that's for sure, going into this game, and Duff will have them well drilled, as Caulfield will have Galway well drilled too. But some interesting signings for Shelburne. One of them I actually really like. Ali Coote coming across, and I thought he was a really good player at Bowes. He struggled in his last season, but a lot of Bowes players struggled in that particular season. But he does give them a bit of goal scoring threat. He can take a long shot. He can play in a number of positions. He plays an 8, a 10, sometimes off the left. So it gives them that versatility. It gives them a bit. I'll be interested to see where they look to actually play him. Like if they have a set position for him, I won't be shocked if he goes in the number 8 position actually, because Evan Caffrey can do that as well, I suppose. But Coote is a bit more, in my opinion, a little bit more quality. So it'll be interesting there. And Sam Bone has come in. I would suggest Sam Bone's been brought in as cover, really, to back
Yeah,
Barrett
they
in
took
case
with a
Barrett
loss.
gets. Yeah, yeah, it's cover because they've a couple of left-footed. I know Gavin Malloy's gone. We talked about that, but they do have a few left-footed centre backs in Griffin and Ledwidge. But they don't have a right-footed centre back as such. So I think Bone's been brought in for that reason, to be honest with you. But smart enough from them. Galway United hasn't been formally announced yet, but they're definitely bringing in Junior, as you know, former Derry player and Sligo
Yeah,
player. Look, he's played everywhere at this point, but I think Derry City was his best spell by a mile, country
twice he
mile.
was at Derry.
Hmm.
Twice he was at Derry. Twice he did the business like so.
Yeah, and they're going to be bringing in Bobby Burns from Glentoran, also two of them from Glentoran in.
Both of them are coming from the Glens, yeah.
Yeah,
There's
and
a
interestingly,
there's a letter.
Wazim went to Glentoran. So there's obviously a link between Galway and Glentoran that we're unaware of here.
Well, Declan Devine's the manager up there, so
That's right. Yeah, yeah. Interesting stuff there. But I'm only messing with the link, by the way, in case anyone's wondering. But yeah, you're first on this one. Shelburne Galway. You're expecting a
yeah.
tight game, I'd say.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a tight game. The two games this season has been tight. Galway, they got a nice one going into the break against Drogheda.
Very good win. Yeah.
Um, uh, Previous
Best
they
win
had,
the season,
yeah,
margin wise. Yeah.
they were going into that. They were going into that based on two defeats in a row, which they hadn't suffered up until that point. Pats and Derry, they hadn't suffered that fate. Um, so it was nice for them. They finished the first half of the season and bit of a high. Shelburne, like what more can we say about them? They just continue to keep going and keep the wheels ticking over. And
Any chance this breaks their momentum? Any chance do you think?
I don't think so, Keith. I don't think so. I think because I just can't see the break killing the momentum because they had a bit of a break before that too because of the internationals, and it didn't seem to break it. But the loss of Gavin Malloy could, because he get Paddy Bart and him have struck up a good partnership. I know they've players that can go in there and play. But when you've two central defenders that are playing with one another every single week and they get to know one another, and now one of them's gone, somebody else has to come in and fill that gap. And I think that's where they could. I think that's where they could fault maybe, but
Potentially, like yeah, yeah.
potentially. But I don't see it being a drastic. Don't see it being drastically wrong for them. The break coming back and did it against the Galway team who are difficult to beat. It's probably one of the fixtures that you probably don't want. You're coming off the back of a 2 week break. This is probably one of the fixtures you probably wouldn't want to be playing in. But look, they've risen to every challenge they've been given this year. Both teams really. And I think it's going to be again another close game. Between the two. It's a Tolka Park. We know the last game was at Diamond Daisy Park where there was no away fans, and we know Shelburne. I think they kind of get a wee bit of a lift from their fans, don't they? Especially in the tight games, and the fans at Tolka Park could be crucial again in this game. And I'm going to go 1-0 Shelburne.
Third 1-0 of the season as such, between the clubs. I'm actually going to go 1-0. I think I don't know. I just have this weird feeling. Galway've lost 2 games in the bounce away from home, haven't they? Against
Yeah,
Derry City, and you mentioned Pats just before that. I'm not sure if they're going to make a 3 in the bounce. I think this is going to be a difficult game for Shelburne. If Shelburne get a win here, it's a cracking result in my opinion. Galway are so good physically as well. I'm not saying Shelburne can't match them in that department as such, but they are so good physically. It'd be interesting to see if Sean Boyd is back and available because
mm.
he's has a niggle that
I
Duff
think
talked
that's
about.
another position that Shelburne could struggle, as if Sean Boyd ends up being a long-term injury. I think because he has come up with crucial goals so far this season, and I think if he's a long-term injury and I don't if they haven't got anybody in there that maybe pops up with the amount of goals he does, especially big goals, that's another potential um
I don't
downfall
think
for.
it'd be a long term injury, Sean Boyd. I think it's more a case of they're being clever and actually managing the players. I think sometimes clubs don't do that enough. It frustrates me at times when a player is playing with an injury because there's always someone else available and come in. Like it's hard to play when you're playing with injuries and injections and stuff. I personally don't like it, but I think they're cleverly managing Boyd. To be fair, though, John Martin has done quite well for them when he's come in, hasn't he? And he has scored a couple of crucial goals. To be
He
fair,
has.
if he was to play 5 or 6 games in a row, I'm not sure if he'd had the same effect as Boyd. To be fair, but there's the option that they could play kind of false nine. Manny Smith has often played there, hasn't he, as well for them and for other clubs. So they've yeah, good point. But there's a few options there in that regard. As for Galway, it'd be interesting to see with Junior coming in. He is obviously not officially signed yet, but he wouldn't be available anyway for this game. But Stephen Wall should be thinking to himself, "You're not getting my place, son." But that's what you
Well,
want.
well, it shows where Galway are going with this, especially Bobby Burns and um Junior. It's two players that are coming from a team that really should have been competing for the league title and the Irish League. Um, I think they got the manager recruitment. I think they got that wrong. They've got other things wrong behind the scenes at Glentoran, and the money that they were spending, the players that they were signing, there should have been a lot more closer to Linfield and Larne, um, and Cliftonville, and they weren't. And these are two really good signings that maybe are coming to, and no disrespect to Galway, but they're coming to a team like Galway to try and maybe build themselves back up again. And it just shows that Galway are really in this now, and they're thinking a couple of good signings, me could end up finishing fourth. I'm interested because Junior, apart from Derry, he struggled at these other League of Ireland clubs, and
Big
be
time.
interesting to see how it works out for McGalway. as you say, Stephen Walsh will be looking and saying, "You're not getting my spot." And as you say, that's what you want. You want players like that. But this is two really good signings, I think, for Galway.
What impressed me with Galway as well, probably haven't talked about them enough at times. The two fullbacks, I think, Kazim and
No, they're
Izue,
excellent. They're
very
excellent.
impressive. They're likely to keep on to Kazim. He's on loan from Colchester, but a great coup to get an extension there. It's likely to
They're
happen.
very good.
But yeah, they're very good. Like they could play for. I would suggest they're good enough to play for any of the teams in the league.
Yeah, they were
Honestly,
getting.
really, really good. They've given them a dimension there, haven't they?
Yeah,
And
I know.
those
I know. I know. In the Brandywell game a couple of weeks ago, the right back he came forward and he was relying on Carlo Sullivan to cover him behind, and O'Sullivan didn't. And that's where Derry got their first goal from. And at that point, then it was just Derry got the goal they wanted, so Galway had to change their plan and came out a wee bit more, and Derry just saw the game out. But them two are really solid. They really are. And 1v1, there's not many people gets past them.
Yeah, Kazim as well coming forward, very good at getting crossed into the box. So you went for Shelburne 1-0, I went for 1-all. The Rovers derby, Sligo Rovers take on, try not to laugh. Sligo Rovers take on Shamrock Rovers at the showgrounds. And really interesting game this. Rovers, Sligo, that is, have brought in Stephen Mallon, who, look, Stephen Mallon's a really, really good player, but
Very
he's been
injury prone.
injured. Yeah, I mean, I'd say 75% of his career he's been injured, but a player that's always impressed me, but it's very
Looked
hard to get
very, very
going and
good
get
at Derry.
consistency. Sorry?
Looked very, very good at Derry, so he did.
He did. No, he is a good player, but they'll have to try and get him fit somehow. Big game. Really interested to see how Shamrock Rovers react now because obviously the break, I think they do them would have done them good in the sense. It'd be interesting to see who's available after injury for them now as well. Obviously, 12 points off Shelburne and 10 points off Derry, and I think that's another problem for them. It's not just that they're 10 or 12 points off one team. It's
It's
two
three teams.
teams. That always makes it more difficult, as you
Yeah.
know. I know they've got one or two games in hand here and there, two with Derry, one with Shells, but they have to, I think we spoke about this before the
They've only
break,
got the problem there is they've played both them teams three times already. They've only got to play them once more.
but they've only
So
one opportunity each
one
to,
opportunity each. So
yeah.
that's where even more difficult again for them.
I think we spoke about it before the break as well. We said now there's 21 games in for them. They have to now hit the start or hit the ground running, I should say, because if
From
it doesn't happen now,
yeah, doesn't from here
they're not
like
winning the league.
they won the league, I think the last two seasons Derry finished second, 66 points, 65 points. So Shamrock Rovers need to get say 66 points. That's out of their 15 games, they're going to have to win at least 11 of them. Um, and the way, look, he wouldn't put it past them doing it because they are probably one of the only teams in the league that could potentially do it.
Mm.
But this season, I just don't see the momentum with them there. They do that. And I think they've got a tough draw in Europe, but it's a draw that they'll probably maybe fancy themselves to get through at least one round. And then they might just look at the FAI Cup and try and win that because we all know that that was the trophy that started the resurgence again in the league. And they're not going to completely give up on it, but I think in the league that is. But I think that's where their eyes could be peeled on the FAI Cup now in the
Eight
second
wins
half of
out of
the season.
21 when you think about it. For champions like that, our favourites for
Yeah.
the title, like, not
Like
great.
uh, the table didn't lie last year. They were the best team,
Yeah.
obviously, but I think they were the most, and it's a term I laugh at all the time because
I don't
Keane
think
used,
anyone pushed them really.
I think a couple of seasons ago, Keane used this term, but he was using it about the team from fourth down. You could have used it from Shamrock Rovers down last year. Was they were the most consistent of the inconsistent,
Inconsistent.
and that was from Shamrock Rovers who won the league right down. They were the most consistent. That yes, they were the best team because of it, but it wasn't like the year before. I think they went on. They were close to losing, I think, against Sligo at home and ended up getting a draw out of it. And then they went on 10 match winning streak. I don't think that happened last year. They might have went maybe 5, 6. I don't know.
Mm.
Maybe Shamrock Rovers fans
Mm.
will correct us on that, but I just with 15 games to go,
Yeah, we can't
the
remember everything on the spot, JP.
oh exactly, Keith, exactly. But I just know they like last year runners up was 65, a year before that was 66. So you're saying potentially to win the league they have to get the 66 points. I just don't see them getting it from this position. Look, they'll do well to get finishing second. I think they'll do well to finish second out of this position, but
Oh, they're under
I'm
pressure.
not going to. We're not going to roll them out completely. You can't do that because they're not four in a row champions for nothing. But it's going to be really difficult. So it is.
Yeah, I mean Sligo Rovers. It's always tight this game actually at the showgrounds,
It always is, isn't it?
Sligo Rovers always do well in it as well, to be honest. But you know, the long term absentees in centre half have killed them really. Pinacker and who's an excellent defender in my opinion, and Mahan, particularly Pinacker actually. But Sligo, I don't know. I mean, I expect them to make it tough, but it feels like they leak goals and it feels like they're struggling to score goals, which is obviously a recipe for disaster, isn't it? But somehow they always have really tight games against Shamrock Rovers, be it a 0-0, a 1-0 type thing. And I just, am I first in this? I think I am. My
Yeah, yeah.
sense is it's going to be very, very tight. They may need McGinty at some point to be interested to see if it's a goal for Shamrock Rovers. But I'm going to go 1-1, and I think that would be okay for Sligo. I think it'd be a disaster for Shamrock Rovers.
Well, I think what we can agree on is if Shamrock Rovers don't win this game, I think we could probably say that that's it for the title, especially if Derry and Shelbourne were they go on and
One of
win
them
win
were to
the
win.
game.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
one of them were to win their games. Um, Sligo were probably a team that wanted to break, but then did on the back of two defeats, one a very heavy defeat, um, which came off the back of two wins. Away to Shelbourne, one at home to Drogheda. So they probably wanted to break. I'm sure they'll make a few signings as well. Have you mentioned there Stephen Mallon again? We saw the talent he had. Really good goal he scored for Derry against Bohemians when he was here, and unfortunately that was the COVID season, so we didn't see much of him. I just it was 0-0 earlier in the season down there. Say Sligo always seem to make it difficult for the likes of Shamrock Rovers and Derry when they come to town, and um, I think they'll make it difficult again, but I think Shamrock Rovers will get over the line. I'll say 2-0 Shamrock Rovers.
Interesting stuff. In intercourse, St. Patrick's Leg take on Bohemians. Couple of interesting things here. Obviously, Pats have signed Joseph Anang, who was at the club a couple of years ago, on a 2.5 year deal. Bohemians have lost a couple of players, if you like. Madison has gone back and loaned their right back. Lilander has gone back, and Reinhardt has gone back to Estonia. Notably, two of the Estonians have gone back already. They had to pay them off as well. But I know, yeah, only signed a couple of months ago, but sure, there you go. But the big signing for me there as well is Ross Tierney. On paper, it's a fantastic signing for Bowes, to be honest. He was a fan favourite there. A player would always give 100% as well. Very good at kind of a run off the ball runner, if that makes sense. He run off the ball, link up with a striker, and go to scoring goals that way. If he can come back and not be too. Sometimes young players come back to the league, and what happens is they think they failed, and they lose a bit of something. But for me, there's billions of kids and players that play football. Only a small percentage make it as professional footballers. And even if you're playing the League of Ireland, you're a professional footballer. You can make something of it at least. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So, I wouldn't be
yeah,
like, I know players, you know what I mean? And, it can be noise from outside more than anything else. But if you've made it as a pro footballer at any level, you've made it for me. You haven't
yeah.
failed, So hopefully Ross can come back and do well with Bowles. But on paper, it's an excellent signing, isn't it?
Oh, we see what he could do first time round, Keith. Like, and that was him coming through the youth at the club. And look, there's obviously still some people there that were there when he was last there, even though he's been away a short while. A lot of changes as well at the same time, but he'll come back, and I just hope the fans don't expect him to hit the ground running straight away. Look, he
It's
might well
and I
do.
think another interesting fact about a lot of these signings, we don't know the fitness levels of the players because we're in our
Exactly.
league season.
Especially coming from England or Scotland, like we know last year Paul McMullen didn't hit the ground running, but he did reasonably well. Then you look at Danny Mullen coming into the same team, took him a few months Ross Tierney, Bulls fans will be hoping Ross Tierney has the same impact as Paul McMullen does, and maybe does it straight away. It's how quickly can he build a partnership with who's there. You know, Reinhardt's gone. Um, I'm sure Alan Reynolds will have a few more lined up. It's a good signing. It will be a good signing in the long run.
Yeah,
How often have we seen players coming back to the league and then going forward again? It's happened so often over the years. We've seen it where they've made the move as a young player, hasn't quite worked out how they'd want it. They've come back to the league, knuckled down, done the business again, and got the move again, and went on to flourish. And look, Ross Tierney might well be home. They stay. He probably has ambitions to keep going forward. I think he's still young enough. They potentially go back across the England or Scotland.
great
Um,
example of that is actually we're talking about Pats and Bowls is actually probably Keith Fahey. To be honest with you, he's a
oh,
he's
exactly, yeah, Keith Fahey, and then you've got I think Danny Lafferty did, although he went to Celtic as a 16-year-old and came back to Derry, 21 year. By the time he was 21, he was way back over to play for Burnley and made a career out of over there for about 10 years. So around various clubs. So there's lots of players that has done it. And Shawnee Maguire was another, wasn't he?
Hmm.
He done it, so it can be done. Just don't write it off completely. Um, some Pats, I think they're starting to find their feet under Stephen Kenny. Um, good signing in Joseph Anang. Not sure if he'll be available to play tomorrow night,
No, he's
depending.
not. He's not 100%.
Um,
Either will Ross Tierney, by the way.
but a good win for Pats. Before the break, a really important one over Shamrock Rovers coming from behind as well to do it. I think looking at the players available, Bulls have sent half their team back to where they came from by the looks of it. Um, and I think Pats
I
will.
I made a joke there to somebody recently that they signed the raft of players there late on, and that raft has gone back as well with some of the players back on it. But
uh, I think Pats will win this. I think they'll win this comfortably, Keith. I'm going to say 3-0 decent Pats.
oof, killing me there. Uh,
Mm.
yeah, I think so. I think the problem at right back is a problem, obviously, for Bowes. I think Anto Breslin should be back to give Pats more balance at left back too. If they play even kind of half the way they played against Shamrock Rovers and Mans, which I'd like to think, as a Pats fan, like I'd like to think they probably have too much for Bowes. But these games have been tight. Bowes beat them in Inchicore earlier on the season. Pats will win, but it'll be tight. I'll go for Pats to win by 1-0. All right, guys, let us know what you think in the comments. Throw us a few predictions. Let us know what you think about the signings that your clubs have made. Thanks again to JP, and
Thank you.
subscribe to the channel if you're new. Thank you.
Bye.
I was trying to get
Thank
that
you.
little bit in right
He's
before
trying to
the
get
end.
it there now. He's trying to get
Because do you know what I hate? What's worse? It might go
gonna
now, but
go
you know
now.
what's worse? When you just have a little bit to do and it runs out. It's a bit like,
Gonna go. I know. That's
go
it now.
on. Thanks for that.
Let's
That
go
was
now.
brilliant. We'll see you
Bye.
later.
See you
Thank
later.
you.